September 1944. The Pacific still thundered with war. After victories at Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, America believed Japan's defeat was near. But before General Douglas MacArthur could return to the Philippines, one small island stood in the way. Peleliu, part of the Palau Islands. A tiny patch of coral with a single airfield at its center. It was supposed to be taken in 3 days. No one knew. Those 3 days would turn into 2 months of hell. From the air, Peleliu looked harmless. A 6-mile-long island shaped like a lobster's claw. Flat to the south but jagged to the north, where a ridge of coral hills rose like broken teeth. The Brogal Mountains. On paper it seemed simple, but beneath the rock, Japan had built something new. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, commander of the 2nd Infantry Regiment, was ordered to hold Peleliu to the last man. He studied earlier defeats at Tarawa and Guadalcanal and chose a new way to die. Not by charging the beaches, but by turning the island itself into a fortress. Hundreds of caves, bunkers, and tunnels connected beneath the ridges. Each cave was a gun nest, each ridge a trap. Nakagawa would not fight on the shore. He would wait inside the mountain. While the Americans believed that a few days of bombardment would end it, Nakagawa simply waited in silence. On September 15, 1944, the assault began. 25,000 Marines of the 1st Marine Division moved toward Peleliu. Their commander, Major General William Rupertus, was confident. He told his men, "It'll be a hard fight, but a quick one. 4 days, maybe 5, it would become the most tragic miscalculation of the Pacific War." The landing, D-Day. At dawn on September 15th, naval guns roared. Battleships unleashed thousands of shells. Bombers streaked overhead. For 3 days, the island was hammered by steel and fire. When the smoke lifted, American officers believed no one could have survived. But beneath the scorched coral, the Japanese waited, untouched, unseen, alive. The landing craft crept forward. Inside, Marines gripped their rifles, breathing diesel fumes and salt air. When the ramp dropped, they stepped into the inferno. At White Beach, Colonel Chesty Puller's 1st Marines met disaster. Hidden guns tore through the first waves. Dozens of amphibious tractors exploded in the surf. Those who reached shore faced a 30-foot wall of coral, a feature never marked on their maps. It was called the Point. For 30 hours, Company K fought there. 18 men survived out of hundreds. They repelled 4 counterattacks, firing until their barrels melted, holding the position with blood and sheer defiance. Every yard of ground cost a life. At Orange Beach, the 5th Marines pushed inland toward the airfield. The ground was flat and bright under the sun, a perfect killing field. Machine guns from the hills cut them down in open sight. Private Eugene Sledge later wrote, "It was like those old World War I films. You just ran across no man's land and hoped the bullet with your name on it missed." To the south, the 7th Marines landed at Orange 3. Strong currents scattered them, throwing companies into the wrong sectors. Tanks bogged down. Radio contact was lost. The entire front dissolved into chaos. By late afternoon, black smoke rose over the island. Japanese light tanks counterattacked, their turrets swinging as they charged across the airfield. Within minutes, American Shermans and anti-tank guns turned them into burning wrecks. At sunset, the beaches were carpeted with bodies, twisted metal, and shattered machines. More than 1,100 Marines were killed or wounded, and it was only the first day. The 3-day battle had just begun. Its end, nowhere in sight. The sun rose over a burnt island. The air stank of fuel and death. The sand shimmered under 45-degree heat. Water came in empty fuel cans, and men drank gasoline-tainted liquid just to stay alive. Ahead of them loomed the Brogal Ridge. The Marines called it Bloody Nose Ridge. It was not a hill. It was a maze. a honeycomb fortress. 500 caves linked by tunnels, with electric lights, hospitals, and command posts inside. From the outside, it looked like a mountain. From within, it was a beast. The Americans nicknamed it the meat grinder. Every cave had to be taken one by one. Each time they thought it was cleared, fire erupted from behind. There was no front line, only confusion, fear, and exhaustion. A hill captured in the morning was lost by afternoon. In the middle of that chaos stood Captain Everett Pope. He led 90 men to seize a peak known as Hill 100. They climbed barehanded under fire, reached the top, and realized they were on the wrong hill, surrounded on all sides. Pope refused to retreat. He built a small perimeter with sandbags and the bodies of his fallen men. Through the night, they fought 4 counterattacks. When ammunition ran out, they threw rocks, empty shell boxes, even fists. By dawn, only 9 were left alive. Pope survived, later receiving the Medal of Honor. But he said quietly, "No one truly earned that medal. The heroes stayed up there." As the weeks dragged on, the Marines began to break. Rotting corpses, swarming flies, no sleep, no water, no mercy. One soldier wrote, "I stopped fearing death. I just wanted it to end." Still, orders came from above. 2 more days. 2 days became 2 weeks. 2 weeks became 2 months. The Marines adapted. Flamethrowers, bulldozers, napalm. They burned the mountain cave by cave until the coral turned black. They didn't bomb to attack. They bombed to erase the smell of death. When the 81st Infantry Division, the Wildcats or none, arrived to relieve them, the surviving Marines left without a word. One whispered, "I left Peleliu, but Peleliu will never leave me." October 1944. Peleliu was no longer an island. It was a graveyard. The palm trees were gone. The coral had turned gray. No birds, no wind, only silence. The 1st Marine Division was spent, half its men gone. The 81st Infantry took over, but they soon learned what kind of place this was. They didn't call it combat anymore. They called it hunting. But the hunted never ran. They waited to die. By late October, American forces surrounded the last Japanese stronghold, a pocket less than a kilometer wide, deep inside the Umurbrago Mountains. Nakagawa still commanded from a cave, his eyes red from smoke, his voice steady. He knew he was finished, but surrender was impossible. He radioed Tokyo, "We are still holding." Peleliu has not fallen day after day. Napalm poured into the caves. The mountains themselves caught fire. An American engineer remembered, "When the napalm flowed through the cracks, I heard screams echo inside." Then nothing. The hill glowed red all night long. On November 24th, 1944, after 72 days of battle, Colonel Kunio Nakagawa and his advisor, Major General Kenjiro Murai, stood together in the dim light of their command cave. They burned their regimental colors. Nakagawa drew his sword and said, "Our blade is broken. We have no spears left." He sent one last coded message, "Sakura, Sakura, cherry blossoms, it has ended." Then, both men took their own lives. The island fell silent. The price was beyond belief. Over 10,500 American casualties, more than 2,000 dead. Nearly 10,000 Japanese perished, fewer than 200 surrendered. It was the highest casualty rate per square mile in the entire Pacific War. A Marine later wrote in his notebook, "If this is victory, I don't want to know what defeat looks like." After the war, the arguments began. Was it worth it? Some said yes. That capturing Peleliu protected MacArthur's flank and taught vital lessons about Japan's new defensive tactics. Lessons that saved thousands later at Okinawa and Iwo Jima. Others said no, that Peleliu was a pointless slaughter. The airfield was barely used. The island's loss changed nothing. Naval historian Samuel Eliot Morison wrote, "No justification can ever make Peleliu worth its price. Today, if you walk across the jungles of Palau, you can still find the ruins. Rusting tanks swallowed by vines, bunkers half buried in coral, and unexploded shells sleeping under the soil. Locals say that after heavy rain, you can hear footsteps echo through the caves, as if the ghosts of the island still march in the wind. Perhaps they never left, Japanese or American. Their souls remain together on that forgotten ground." Peleliu, the island that was supposed to fall in 3 days, took 2 months, and its name will forever be remembered as the forgotten hell of the Pacific.